All right, so yes, the Battlefield 6 launch is fast approaching, and I am so hyped over here. And we have a ton of Battlefield 6 news and updates to go over today, including, yes, those review scores. Not looking too shabby at all right there. But also, the dev team did actually drop this right here, the full-blown patch notes for that day one update. And my God, there's a lot to talk about here. However, a lot of redundant stuff, so I'm going to highlight the most important stuff that you do not know about, and also some nerfs and things like that that are concerning some of the player base. And also, yeah, some things that are making you guys kind of like confused and questioning why DICE made some decisions here. So we're going to clear the air about what's going on with these patch notes and this day one update. As always, I'm going over your top comments, so leave a comment down below. But you know what? Check this out right here.
So check this out, guys. I'm always looking for the best deals on games, and I just discovered Eneba, who offers some of the best deals on your favorite games, including games like Battlefield, Call of Duty, Borderlands 4, and so many more games, including your favorite single player and multiplayer titles. And a huge shout out to Eneba for sponsoring this video. So join me now and click on the links in the description below to get the best gaming deals from Eneba for the month of October. You don't want to miss out on these deals. And if you didn't know, Eneba offers over 80,000 gaming products on their website, including games, gift cards, game passes, game guides, hardware, and so much more. And if you're not sure what game you're in the mood for, check out the Discover tab for the latest trending game deals. Payments are safe and secure, and they also provide reliable customer service and quick refunds. So click on my link in the description below to visit eneba.com for the best gaming deals out there. And thanks to Eneba once again for sponsoring this video.
But real quick, I did want to talk about those reviews that are currently rolling in, because yeah, we have a mix here of really high scores. We're sitting at like 9.5 out of 10 for a lot of these reviews. And then on the lower end, we're seeing like 7s, 7.5s, and things like that. I think the lowest score on here is like a 7 out of 10. That might change here in the future as reviews keep rolling in here. But why are we seeing those lower scores? I definitely wanted to highlight some of those concerns as well. But overall, the sentiment for a lot of these reviews are leaning more, of course, positive. And I don't think that's a surprise at all. As you can see right here, here's a great example from Game Trends, who gave it a 9.5 out of 10. But why did they do that? Of course, they're saying that it's a thrilling story, which was missed in previous games. So yes, we have a single player campaign. However, I did note that a lot of reviewers that even gave it like a 9 out of 10 did not care for the story itself, the narrative. And then even like IGN gave the single player campaign a 5 out of 10, but a lot of comments were like, hey, it's IGN. But yeah, let me know if you guys actually watched the IGN single player campaign review or not. I'm not watching it. I'm not spoiling anything. I'm going in there with a clear mind. Now, they did mention that, of course, the graphics are absolutely amazing. And then the full package is a Battlefield experience that you know and love, that you just want that traditional Battlefield experience, and that is what we are getting overall. Some of the cons they did mention related to technical hiccups in single player, bad, NPC AI behavior, that sort of thing. And then, yes, one thing that I did see a common complaint, even with the high-end review scores, was that front-end menu, the UI. I guess, a lot of the player base absolutely hates what they've done with this Netflix, Hulu UI, and they want that completely redesigned. Will DICE do that? I doubt it. We'll see. That'd be absolutely amazing if they went in there and actually did what the player base wants. But yeah. But, highlighting that negative take here from, I believe it's Stivivore.com. They did have some interesting tidbits here that I did want to know. So check it out right here. They go on to say this: who are you anyway? To try and maintain some semblance of class identity, we're offered a suite of signature options for each class to introduce some flair and personality to the way they play. Each class has a specific weapon type they favor, with benefits for opting for them, and a suite of signature traits to carve out a niche for them. Now, they also each get their own active ability, unlocked by earning sufficient score while playing the class, and a signature gadget. Engineers get their repair tool, supports get a supply bag, etc. It goes without saying that this system is a total flop, according to this reviewer. The buffs to signature weapons are so insignificant that they're immediately forgotten about, and traits are hardly noticeable at all. playing a recon or an engineer 20 minutes into a match feels exactly the same as playing 1-2 minutes into a match. So this is an interesting take. We'll see how this pans out in the long term as we get more and more into the higher levels and that sort of thing, and unlock all the classes and experience everything that these classes have to offer. So I'm kind of curious to see how you all will feel about this once you really start playing and experiencing a lot of the Battlefield multiplayer. But, mentioning Battlefield multiplayer, there's something that we have to talk about when it comes to multiplayer maps that a lot of people weren't aware of. We do know that the game is launching with 9 multiplayer maps right out of the gate, but not all of them will be available on Conquest. So check it out right here. If a Battlefield map doesn't support core game modes like Conquest or Breakthrough, it's not really a Battlefield map. Yes, currently the following game modes aren't supported on Saints Quarter, Conquest, Breakthrough, Escalation, Rush, and Payload. And a lot of people were really bummed by this news because Saints Quarter looks like an absolutely beautiful map, and a lot of people just assumed, hey, we're going to be able to play it on Conquest. But there is some hope. It's not all doom and gloom whatsoever for this news at all. So let's get into some of the replies. So check it out right here. They say, so they launch with 8 maps in reality. Saints will be only Team Deathmatch and Domination. Rush and Conquest are the Battlefield DNA in this day and age. And we have a comment here. Well, Domination is kind of like Conquest, but small size on a small infantry map. It makes sense. If they do add map as often as Season 1, it should be fine, but sure, I would have preferred another larger map instead of this. So for me, there's like 2 saving graces here. Number 1, Domination being available on this map is everything for me because it does play like a more smaller version of Conquest for sure in some ways. Don't get me wrong. Still would prefer this to have full-blown Conquest, of course. But another really saving grace is the fact that we are going to be getting like 2 brand new fresh Conquest maps out of the gate thanks to that Season 1. Now, we also have this take. This is where it gets interesting for sure. So check it out right here. Disagree. Maps should be designed with specific game modes in mind. Brute forcing all maps to work on all game modes usually does not work very well. And designing maps to work with all game modes just means concessions across the board to accommodate them. There's nothing wrong with maps catering to certain game modes. This is like complaining Headlong wasn't in a 1 versus 1 playlist or Lockout not being supported in Big Team Battle. It is very obvious when a map was clearly intended for one thing over another or being so ambiguous in design that it was created to fit everything. That's a good point right there. Edit. So people keep replying with the same response, so I'll address it here. Not having enough maps to cover the pool for any given mode is a separate issue and not a reason to compromise map design. That's an argument supporting more maps, not maps with ambiguous or compromised design. Let me know in the comments your take. I'm extremely curious. I do remember like when DICE created Battlefront, the Battlefront series, they went ahead and designed the modes for the maps, and what you had was not enough maps. That's just the thing. So I really think what they should do is have their team really play to the strengths of what people want. And I think overall, people really, really love Conquest mode. So they need to really focus up down the road in the future on Conquest really based maps. I don't really consider, Battlefield a core team deathmatch experience like Call of Duty whatsoever, although it's really fun to go into like team deathmatch every now and then. But when I boot up Battlefield, for the most part, I'm heading into Conquest and, Rush mode as well. And I really think those are absolutely the core focuses going forward, need to be the core focuses going forward for Battlefield 6 when it comes to expanding the content. So yeah, that was just like one concern about the multiplayer, that people weren't really aware that that map wasn't coming to Conquest. But, back to single player, of course, again, IGN did give the single player a 5 out of 10 rating, as you can see right here. But there were some things that they did mention here that might be noteworthy as well. And I've heard that, the campaign is kind of lackluster. It's going to be like 9 missions total. It is going to be a very, very short experience, roughly 5 hours. The campaign moves very, very quickly. It does have some very noticeable moments. Enemy AI is considered weak and limiting the excitement. The story and characters are kind of okay, of course. Technical performance is absolutely stunning in some areas. And then also there are some bugs present. I did see some of the bugs they did highlight, and they were pretty bad. But they described the campaign being very short on the safe and shallow side of things. But, on subreddit through the Battlefield 6 community, we're seeing this right here. Mediocre campaign. We are so back. You guys don't seem to really mind it. And one of the comments I really wanted to highlight here, cool live action trailer, check. Great multiplayer, check. Mid-campaign, check. It's like 2011 all over again. So hell yes, it's a Battlefield experience. It just is very nostalgic through and through. Now, my biggest question for you guys is, are you going to go straight into single player when this game finally launches? Or are you going to be hopping into multiplayer and kind of like, maybe I'll just get to the single player in time, or maybe not? Let me know down in the comments for sure. Now, also, let's go ahead and highlight what's going on here with those patch notes. So yes, they did release a ton of patch notes. Again, I'm not going to be redundant here. I did a video about the 200 plus changes. That's this right here. However, these are way more specific, and there are things that I did not actually highlight in that previous video. So let's go over some of the things that you guys really highlighted as talking points. So check it out. What the F is this change? The launchers already did way too little damage to infantry and essentially needed a direct impact to kill. I was expecting massive increase in damage. Why are we decreasing it? And you can see he highlights reduced rocket launchers blast damage against infantry to discourage ground blasting. And of course, back blast dealt way too much damage to infantry, so they fixed that issue as well. So some people are calling this out as a nerf. They already felt like the rockets weren't doing enough damage in the first place, but I feel like this sentiment is going to go with what the dev team felt and said about grenades. So they didn't want grenades to be a kill mechanic. They wanted it to be more of like a herding type thing where you can move players around the battlefield, cause an explosion here, disrupt, cause chaos, and try to get some movement in your favor on the battlefield. That might be what they're looking at with rocket launchers as well. Because you got to consider that there's like 64 players here, and to be having everyone potentially, of course, spamming rockets might be a bad thing. However, you don't want to make the rocket launchers too weak. That is also a big concern for sure. Because yeah, this also ties into some of the comments here. Yeah, in the beta, the rocket splash damage was almost non-existent. It's insane the devs think they need to reduce it even further. And there's a comment here as well. Since the launchers restock ammo over time, it's way more balanced now. So we'll see how the community takes to this change once we really get into the full version of the game. And also we have this highlight right here. Yo, did they fix the vaulting animations? It says updated vaulting animations for medium and high obstacles. So glad to hear this. I hope this means it's closer to Battlefield 1 5 animation quality instead of the copied 2042 animation they had before. So this sounds like it's going to be a great improvement right there. And we have this comment as well. Everything looks great. Just needs suppression for light machine guns. Yeah, suppression still needs a buff to help counter how strong snipers will be in this game. And, it was noted we asked for enhanced suppression for light machine guns in labs testing because really there's no point in even using them right now. Hopefully they do something. I want to use my RPK. So yeah, for you support players, do you want to see more of a suppression effect on the enemy combatant team when you're laying down that fire from your light machine gun? Let me know if that's you, or if you're like, I don't care. I think it's fine how it is. And get this was also in the patch notes here. All rush layouts have been updated based on feedback from the open beta. I want to thank everyone who didn't bend to peer pressure and downvote, that kept their mouths open and let their voices be heard. You're the real MVPs. Hell yes. So it seems like a lot of you guys are rejoicing by that note right there. And we have this right here, which was confusing a lot of the player base. So check it out. It says Portal. Removed crossplay option from server hosting. So crossplay is forced in Portal, or is there no crossplay in Portal? And the assumption is forced. it's odd either way to not have a choice. And I think this might be the right take, maybe to maximize the pool of players that can find your server so it has a better chance of filling up. And I think they want Portal to be very, very successful. It's probably not going to be the most immediate thing you go into when you boot up Battlefield 6. So in terms of that, they want it to have some level of audience for sure. And we also have this one right here. Removed arming time on rockets, allowing players to fire at floors, ceilings, and doors to open up destruction. Bum, they changed this. I like that feature. Made it entertaining to spear someone with an RPG round to the chest while doing no damage to the space you were in. And we have this take here. Weird change in my opinion. I assumed if someone wanted to break some surface up close whenever they wanted, they would just take the sledgehammer. Sad to see arming time go. No failed point blank RPG compilations now, I guess. So yeah, I saw this comment even like on the Twitter post and elsewhere, and it seems like people are bummed about that change. So let me know if you guys want to see that reverted back or not. But, you know, one thing that did not make it into the patch notes, which was definitely concerning, was this right here. How about the rangefinder completely removes bullet drop? This isn't Call of Duty. This is still definitely something that I am extremely curious about. And actually, I want to take some time out to see if I can find some sniper footage from the footage that was released today by the content creators here, showcasing the multiplayer, if they've done updates to this, but it was not mentioned at all in the patch notes. And this is one of the bigger concerns going into the launch of Battlefield 6, is that eventually we will see absolutely overpowered snipers down the road, which would be a total bummer. All right, so you guys know what time it is. It's time to go over your top comments. As always, leave a comment down below. It could end up here in a future video. And if you're new, welcome aboard. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and stay in the know and updated about all things Battlefield 6. But let's do this. Let's see what you guys had to say here. So we have 2 more days. This has been the longest week, but it's almost done. Wish you all the best in Battlefield 6. Dude, it feels so long. And I thought for sure, at least in my time zone, Battlefield 6 would be available tonight at midnight. I was completely wrong. It's going to be available tomorrow at 8 a.m. So it feels like I have to wait an additional 8 hours on top of everything else. Because, you know, a lot of games release at midnight, you know, global time. So I'm kind of like pumped over here like, damn it, I kind of miscalculated that one. But we have some other comments about closed versus open weapons playlist. We have this one, closed, baby. I want that classic fill. 369 upvotes, and I don't blame you at all. And, you know, I feel like it might actually be more of a balanced experience in the long run as well. And we have, I'm not a Battlefield fan, probably because I've never played it, but I'm going to try this one. I'm pumped for you all vets and new players who are excited for Friday. GG gamers, to experience like Battlefield for the first time. Dude, you are in for a hell of a time. It's going to be an absolute blast. And yeah, you know, I'll be honest with you, I pretty much skipped out on Battlefield 2042, was really disappointed in that one, and kind of like dabbled in Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, had some fun with that. But this time I'm like, dude, I'm going all in. This really reminds me of what I absolutely love and adore from the Battlefield franchise, the good old days of like Battlefield Bad Company, and then of course Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4. Those were the highlights for me personally of the Battlefield experience. And we have this one right here. This is, you've taken a day off from work to play Battlefield 6 button. Hell yes. All right, so there it is. The latest happenings and news about Battlefield 6. As always, I'll keep you guys in the know about anything changing, any updates from the dev team and that sort of thing. But stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time. Take care.